Krang steps through the portal onto yet another continent. He has lost track of how many missions he has done for the Council of the Void yet, but he doesn't care anymore. He immediately senses a place of great power nearby and decides that this will be his first target. It won't be easy, so he's immediately tapping into the source and stealing mana for the task ahead. The day just started, but he feels that he must keep up the pace. Tapping into the source yet again, he pulls mana to power through, crossing plains and into the forest to the source of the power. On this journey he notices some rampaging orcs in the vicinity. Maybe he has to deal with them first. They would make for a nice sparring partner after all, so he is engaging the Ironclads, but just in time he realizes that they are a worthy enemy after all. So after a moment of tranquility, he decides for the source to regenerate and come up with a better plan. He blocks their surprisingly brutal attack with determination and destroys them with rage. He can already feel his power growing while he is standing over the corpses of the Ironclads. With this newfound power, he is preparing to enter the ancient ruins that he has determined is the source of the great power he felt while stepping through the portal. But is he prepared for what he is going to face there? No, he needs more energy. He taps into the source and uses an ancient mana enhancement technique and harvests the lands for even more power. With no more time to waste, he finally enters the ruins. First he encounters fire mages, which he makes quick work of, killing them before they can even cast a single spell. But then a gargoyle backstabbed him and he died. Well, that was just awful. I was experimenting with a way to drastically shorten the videos, and I think that succeeded quite well, for multiple reasons actually. The most obvious being that it went downhill so fast that after cutting out the silence, the whole video is just 1 minute and 30 seconds, and I'm almost through the first day. If you do not narrate all the bookkeeping and just the decisions, then you can obviously just save a lot of time, and especially without narrating the thinking process as well. Having narrated the last 7 games I played in Mage Knight, I realized quite quickly in this experiment that if I'm not narrating it, I'm actually, well, thinking much faster, much less clean. So I think it even helps my gameplay to slow down and reason the things and find ways why my decisions might be bad before even doing them. And I think that helps the gameplay quite a lot. And I think the game is an excellent example for how you can crash and burn quite quickly if you do very bad decisions just from the start. So being true to my words and telling you that I do not hide games from you, so that there are no failed games that I'm not publishing or something like that. I will even publish this, although it's kind of embarrassing to be honest. But I think it's instructive, so let's look at my decisions step by step. Let's look at the opening situation first. There was this really nice ruin, or there is this really nice ruin that's really tempting. It gives a spell and a full set of crystals. It's extremely tempting, and a dungeon enemy and a mage tower enemy might sound daunting at the beginning of the game, but with the right cards you can actually do it. If you can snipe one by range, you might get some wounds and take a second attempt to actually clear the ruins, but it's doable. And it will kickstart your game immensely if you get 4 crystals and a spell. Seeing the 2 orcs here, then one doesn't even let you level, and the other ones are the Ironclads, which are brutal, unfortunately. So, and with an attack of 4, that's just 4 wounds. And even if you get an additional armor, it's still 3 wounds. So not blocking them is not good, and they are kind of immune to range attack at the beginning of the game because you usually cannot come up with 6, only 5. So unless you have some elemental damage, they are quite difficult to deal with, but they do give 4 fame, so they do let you level and they do set you up for a quick next level. There is a glade, so we will see later that one possible way would be to provoke them, take the 4 wounds and heal 2 and 1 further wound from the glade. But they are really not a good enemy to start with. But what else can you do actually? There's no real way to circumvent them. There are no walls or something like that, so you can't even reach the village. Especially with the random tile orientation putting a lake here, there is really no passage through which does not provoke them. So getting to the village to hire the guardsmen or the peasants is, it's not possible, which really just leaves the other avenue of the mage tower, where there is a deep mine. That's nice. So the opening play with the 5 movement that brought me to the ruins could have been played to get to the deep mine and see the defenders of the keep. And you do stock up on a crystal right away, so depending on your cards that you are left with, you can take a green or a blue crystal, and this should really make it easy to take the mage tower. I have no idea what the token is yet, I haven't looked yet, but that's actually the problem with this kind of play. Here you know what you expect and you can level. Here you have to take the tower without leveling and without looking. And that's something that you are not really fond of, because it's also a dead end if you can't take the tower then. But then again, one mage tower unit, fortification doesn't matter at that point, I think. It's doable. especially if you can, or if you do have, like in the opening hand, a lot of rage. So let me reconstruct the opening hand quickly. So these are the enemies from the ruins. This was my last hand. I played these three and discarded them. And so we are already at the opening hand. I think it was something like this. So the opening hand was definitely a determination. I think that was the first card I draw. The Ruthless Coercion, that doesn't do much in the beginning. And again, with the offer, which is really nice. So the Guardsmen, the Guardian Golems, the Peasants in the first round, they are good. So I like the unit offer, but where do you even hire? You can't reach the village, there's nothing for the glade, so it just leaves the Mage Tower. And I think that already tells you that this decision to go for the ruins is wrong, because when you take the Mage Tower, and you usually can, there's just a contingency plan right away to also hire the Guardian Golems. Where this here is really hard. Do you want to enter the ruins without leveling? Or do you really want to spend all the resources to kill the Ironclads first, then level, and then with the remaining resources try the ruins? If this does not work out, well, you already have seen what happens if this doesn't work out. But I did have a determination and 2 rages in hand. So the consideration is what you do with such an opening hand. You do have movement, and the Ruthless Coercion is useless anyway. So unless you're using Rethink, you can, and the source was black, red and blue. So unfortunately already a black die, but it was showing blue and red. So you can power all the cards in your opening hand, so any of them. So you can power the stamina. And with the Ruthless Coercion, you have 5 movement. It brings you to the ruins or to the deep mine. And I think going for the deep mine and then looking at the token would probably have been better, because you're then left with the determination and 2 rage, and this can take care of a lot of enemies. But you do need another 3 movement to even enter the tower, whereas here you can just battle the Ironclads or enter the ruins. So your movement is kind of done. The problem is really what happens if you don't draw the cards you want to see. So what's actually the plan here? Do you want to enter the ruins with a dungeon enemy and a Mage Tower unit with just 2 rages and a determination? This won't end well, I think. There are far too many tokens that can just screw you over, like a Manticore. If you don't block that, then it's Assassinate, Poisonous. There's a Medusa, what do you even do then? Yeah, so you have to have blue mana to power the determination to block like the worst of the tokens. And you can't block all of them, but there are some where determination is actually the solution, like Medusa. But if you play the blue mana to power the stamina to go to the ruins, you don't have the blue mana anymore. So what about tactics? I was selecting the mana steal to be able to play a red and a blue mana, or at least have a red, so that we can power the rage, because I was eyeing the Ironclads to kill them first. And with the determination and 2 rages, you can just exactly kill the Ironclads. I think this was at the back of my mind when I decided to go there, that I do have the cards in play to just kill them. And then I will level. I will pick one of these advanced actions. I did not have a need, obviously. The Mountain Law is irrelevant, but there was a Crushing Bolt and the Force of Nature. So 2 Siege Attack 3s. So range damage, that's the most important part here. So on leveling, I will get a skill. And I will get a range attack card. And if I draw like the concentration or anything, then I will have range attack 6. That means that I can then most likely snipe one of these enemies right away. And as you have seen, I could snipe the Fire Mages, obviously. So that sounded like a plan. Unfortunately, the skills that came up were like movement and 1 block. There's nothing to write home about. I do like these +1s, I always say this in my videos, but it's nothing to help me with the ruins. Yeah, so this is why I didn't even think about it that hard. It just doesn't help me in the immediate situation I'm in. Instead, I got the cooperative skill of Krang, which at least crystallizes the mana that you actually use. So we are using it and get a crystal, and in the next turn you will get a mana of it again. It's a bit more complicated than the usual mana skills of other characters, but then again, these cooperative skills are usually more complicated. But I did not have a choice but to take this, and I picked up the Force of Nature because it can also double as a block 6, so it makes me much more versatile. The Crushing Bolt gives you more mana, but since I do not know what I will come up with here as tokens, I thought the block 6 might be what saves me, or what could save me. And depending on the cards I draw, I might not need the Siege Attack 3, so I could block an enemy that would screw me completely over, like a Medusa, since I will not have the determination then, and well, at least defeat one of the tokens with other cards. I think that's part of the reasoning here to actually go there to try and attempt it, because it's so alluring. Yeah, to try to take out these ruins in like the 2nd turn or so, in the 3rd turn of the first day, and get all these nice bonuses, level a lot, so it's tempting. But again, you don't know what tokens you draw. That can be benign tokens, can be awful, so it's a huge gamble, and you do need this range attack, otherwise you don't have the resources. With 5 cards and just 1 mana, you are kind of screwed. And this brings me back to, again, my reasoning that I took Mana Steal to have at least 2 mana at the same time. I did not plan to use it for the Ironclads. But then again, what was my plan? And that's a theme here. I didn't think it through. I played too fast, and I was hoping for the best, kind of. Yeah. So the original plan to kill the Ironclads with 2 rage and a determination had one fatal flaw, that I did have the 2 mana and I stole 1, but to actually go there I needed to play a stamina with a blue die and then reroll it. And it rerolled to green. So that was not good, but it was to be expected. I can't expect it to reroll to gold or blue. That's just 1 in 3 chance, and it can be much worse. So without the blue mana, I suddenly cannot power the determination, and then the Ironclads are brutal. So they have an attack of 8, that's 4 wounds. So what's the plan here? And after playing the Ruthless Coercion and the Stamina, so 4 or 5 movement, I drew up, and I think what I drew up is the mana draw and the Tranquility. And the source at that point, as I said, I did not have a gold die yet, so maybe let's leave that here. So the source was showing a black and a green, and the red die was still on Mana Steal. So the mana draw is a dead card at that point, because I don't have white mana to power it, and drawing another source die doesn't do anything because I don't have one. So I did draw a dead card, and I did draw a Tranquility, which doesn't help at all. So that's the problem. You need to be prepared to draw whatever from your deck, so you can't just hope for good cards. And this means I'm now at the ruins with this hand, and a source that's showing green. So the only thing I can power really is the Tranquility. I didn't have any crystals at that point. I did have a red die, that's true. So I can power one of the rages and I can power the Tranquility. So what do you actually do in this situation? And it's the second turn, I'm already in a dead end. Because just taking the pain, so to speak, is really not an option because it's 4 wounds. You can heal 2 with the green, so you can just ignore the attack, take the 4 wounds, play the rage with the red mana die for an attack of 6. Inefficient kills the Ironclad. Then you power the Tranquility, heal 2 wounds, but you are left with 2 wounds. So what you're playing is these 2 cards and this, and you are adding 2 wounds to that hand. You do level and pick up another card. So you're not drawing anything from your deck. So your hand is completely determined, and you're screwed, basically. The only option would probably be to do a resting turn, and that's just not cutting it. So at that point, playing the Tranquility to just take the pain is not an option. What would be better if to move to the Glade, because it will give you a gold token as well to move back and heal a wound, but where's the movement coming from? So am I supposed to play the other 2 cards that I'm not playing sideways? Toss the Determination before even attempting to play the Ruins? So this wasn't an option. So moving here, again, it's 3 movement even, so I couldn't even reach it. What am I even talking about? So I'm stuck at the ruins. The Ironclads I can't defeat. And entering the ruins with these cards, again, that's dead. And that's, well, I can use it for the same idea that I can heal after trying these 2 tokens. But then I'm actually trying the ruins, which are not easy ones, with 3 cards only. And I can't power this, and I can just power 1 rage. That's at best 8 attack, or maybe 4 block for attack. That's not cutting it as well. So this is why I finally decided that I have to get rid of the Tranquility. I can't hold on to it, and I can't use it to heal. The source is only showing green, so what am I supposed to do? So I do play it. Yeah, I play the Tranquility with the source die. Draw these 2 cards. No, actually I don't. I can't remember, but I think it's not that important. I think I draw at least the Savage Harvesting, probably the Improvisation. But the most important part is that I reroll the die and it comes up blue. So that's extremely lucky in a sense. But then again, it doesn't make a huge difference. It just means that I can now play the original plan. So I can play Determination powered with the blue die, use the red die, and kill at least the Ironclads. It's extremely expensive, but again, I think that might actually still work out, because I can then draw new cards and maybe I get the range attack I'm ready for. So I do get a 4 fame level, get a reputation, and I'm still set for this plan to take the ruins. On level up, as I said, I had a skill choice between this, which doesn't help immediately with the ruins. Maybe at that point I should have abandoned them and just go for the village. But I've invested already so much that it feels really bad to not take the ruins now. And these tokens here, these are just, I don't know, I won't level, and the village is even in a swamp, so it just gets worse and worse from here. So I do decide to, well, pick up the Force of Nature. Yeah, so I have this skill here, pick up the Force of Nature, which I will then immediately draw, and I do draw a Swiftness, which is nice, of course. And the dice re-roll to gold and green, I think. Yes, so that's giving me a break at least. But now comes the same question all over again. Do I want to enter the ruins with a mana draw that actually does a lot more this time? So because it means I can use 2 mana. I do have a Swiftness and a Force of Nature, so that's 6 range attack, that's nice. And I do have an Improvisation and Savage Harvesting. But I do not have red mana. If I power these 2, I don't have crystals yet again, yeah. So I can power the swiftness with the gold and the force of nature with the green. That will kill something, probably. Again, I don't know the tokens yet. And I do need 3 cards already, but what's the backup plan? I can't power this, so if I discard it, I can get 3 of something, maybe 3 block, for example. So you're thinking back and forth about this situation, and what do you actually do here? You do have the skill that's not doing anything for you for the combat, it's just giving you a crystal. Well, technically it does something for you, it doubles the mana. So you can, for example, play a green for Force of Nature and then get a green crystal right away, and it also allows you to power this. But then again, it's not a combat card, so why would you do that? With the white, again, what's the point? Yeah, so you can power the swiftness, get a white crystal right away. Actually, there is a point because you can then use mana draw to put something to the red side. That's something I missed, to be honest. I'm just noticing this now. So let's play that through. Again, these crystals I didn't have yet. So one possible play would have been, I didn't know the tokens yet, but again, I was thinking about what can I actually defeat. And of course you have these nice range attack 6, that's usually enough, especially if it's 6, not 5. It does not kill a gargoyle, obviously, but it does kill a fire mage. But the problem really is you already need, actually you already need this card for this, so it doesn't work out, yeah. It's just you're not prepared for this, basically. So the mana draw is already needed to pull the second die. I was thinking about then using this to get a white crystal, so you can actually then use mana draw to put something to red, and then you could, for example, block the gargoyle. We are still probably screwed because we would have to engage it again and come up with 8 attack. And where's this coming from? So this is not a good pull, obviously, but you have to be able to deal with this kind of stuff. So my thinking was that this will not cut it, and I think I should get more mana. The problem is that I use the mana steal and I can only use 1 die with the mana draw 2, but there is a way to get a lot more mana. The thing is, the Savage Harvesting gives you a crystal, but what do you actually discard? Because if you discard Improvisation, it's a red crystal, and we did play 2 rages already, and the 4th red card is a threaten, so the red crystal won't do anything for you. So discarding this is quite pointless, and with Savage Harvesting you actually have to move. That's the bad thing, but if you do, you get a crystal. The mana in the source was green, so if you power this, I can use this to get a green crystal, which will help to power the Force of Nature. I can reroll this. Maybe it comes up red. So what we end up with is 2 crystals from this. So this is why I had the green and the white. 1 from using this and 1 from tossing another card. So I wanted to go for a white. I thought mana draw I don't need anymore, because if I can get a white crystal, I can power the swiftness anyway. So green and white is actually perfect to power this. And then I'm rerolling the green die, so I might even come up with some other color. And I'm drawing 3 more cards. So I do have the range combo in hand, and maybe I draw even more range attack, the concentration, like anything. But then again, I didn't actually think through what's still in my deck. Yeah, there's a concentration and a swiftness. Yeah, so the crystallize would not be good as well, but maybe I can stall for another turn. But these are the cards I'm actually looking for, especially the concentration. So you do get the 2 crystals, that's the idea here, which are exactly the colors you need for your range attack. And with the skill, so the cooperative skills in a solo game mean that you can use this yourself, like in your next turn. So I would get a crystal now, and next turn I would have a green mana. So that means I do have a crystal left, even if I power the Force of Nature or the concentration. So I could even power both, that's the point. So the play was to play this, but I do have to move, that's the problem, and I'm in the forest. So where do I even move? If I move here, I was thinking about that, then a move would actually be enough, and I would start a turn with a gold token. But it would mean that I need movement to go back and even power it, and it sounded like a risk. Like seeing what I've drawn now, maybe it would have been a better play. But just to move there to get a gold token and move back is so much movement, it's 6 movement. It felt quite bad. Well, what I ended up with paying 5 movement is also quite inefficient, but you do have to move. So I powered it, I had to play something sideways to even get 5 move to get back. Tossed this, and I ended up with these 2 crystals. This rerolled black, unfortunately, so didn't give me a break. And I did hold on to exactly the cards I need to kill tokens at range, which I actually did, so it turned out quite fine. And I was hoping for another swiftness or a concentration. So at that point I had the gold die in the source still, because I just used the green. And this was holding a green token for me later, which is where the 1 crystal was coming from. So I know I can power this, and I know I can power this, and I do have these crystals. So if I draw the swiftness or the concentration, I can power them both. And this will bring my range attack up to 8, which would actually kill the gargoyles, for example. I would then still have to take 3 wounds, so I'm really not, it doesn't help that much. But let's assume I would draw these 2, This would be a combined range attack of 11. So this would just kill the mages. And I could just play this for block 6. So this was the idea of in taking Force of Nature. So the concentration alone would have been all I need. So I could have put it like this. The gold die would be open. This would make perfect use of the token of the cooperative skill. So I can power that. That's 5 range attack. Just kills the fire mages. I am left with this hand with a gargoyle. And I do have a gold mana, which can just power the Force of Nature, block 6, block the gargoyle. So at that point, I would still be fine. Yeah, the 5 fame would actually make me level again. So I'm at an armor of 3. It doesn't clear the ruins, obviously, and I'm running out of cards at that point. As I said, I would have to engage it again, deal with the 5 attack again, and come up with 8 attacks, so that's probably not happening. And that's really the problem with like a combination of these two. If you draw either of those, if it's a bad token, you can usually manage and you should be prepared. But if you're drawing 2, the chances are much higher that you draw something that you just can't deal with. Especially these physical resistant enemies are really a problem in the beginning of the game. But that was a rough idea, but I of course did not draw the concentration. So what I end up with is I can kill the fire mages, and this gives me 3 wounds because I'm still at armor 2. So I would be almost through the day. I would level again, but I would have 3 wounds. I can then limp to here. The Tranquility I already played. The Tranquility play was really bad. I don't like playing Tranquility to just replace itself. Maybe even take a mana with it. I could reroll the source, that was fine, because I did not have another green card to power. But just to replace itself with another card, and if you power it with yet another card, it's not doing anything for you. At that point, you're better off discarding it for improvisation. At least it's useful then. Or just play it sideways. And if I would have it still, so if I would not need to play it earlier and I would draw it later, then there might actually be a play to heal the wounds I'm getting here, at least 2 of them, limp here later to heal the other one, and maybe somehow come up with 8 attack. But the Ironclads really screwed me as well. Playing 3 cards to Rage and Determination just to kill them, that's not good enough. And this really makes this plan awful. Yeah, so why go there if you don't have the mana to actually execute the plan in the first place, then luck into the mana, but play so many cards that you are halfway through your deck. The dummy was playing quite slow actually, but where's the plan? So how do you actually defeat this? I was really unlucky to draw these 3 cards, so 2 movement and a promise, and that's really what completely killed me. So at that point I should probably not have entered the ruins, but that's so bad. Then you've stalled all the way, defeated the Ironclads, played the Tranquility just to level once, and then just move on to a Fame 2 enemy. Well, it would give me a reputation again, I would be at +1. I'm in a village then, maybe I can hire the Udim Guardsman. That would probably have been better. But again, the theme here is you're hoping. Yeah, you think, maybe I can still do it. Maybe I don't have to give up this dream. Maybe I can defeat this token and have a glorious start. But without a contingency plan, it's just bad play. That's all it is. Yeah, so once I decided to enter and get these 3 wounds, there's really no point in going on if you want to go for some high-level cities. And I think it's far too early to just say, let's see how far we get. And I think we made multiple bad decisions already. So this is why I'm doing a post-mortem right now, especially with the new approach to cut out all the thinking and just narrate what I'm doing. The whole process took 1 minute and 30 seconds, as I said already. It's hilarious. It's embarrassing but hilarious. But now I'm interested what would happen if I went the other route. So roughly, it's a bit hard to reconstruct, but let's see if we can get a slight glimpse of what could have happened. So the basic play would be the same. Play the stamina with the Ruthless Coercion sideways for 5 movement with the blue source die, but then just move to the deep mine. And at that point we would see the defenders. I'm really interested to what it is. So these are monks. Not the best token, but you can see I already have a determination in hand and they can be killed. So I would have thought about what die I'd actually steal, but probably going with the red again, or maybe go for a different tactic. But I don't think I would take Rethink, because I do have the movement, at least to go to the tower, but I would need 3 more movement. But what would you actually toss with Rethink? So probably the Ruthless Coercion. You do need the movement, maybe a Rage. But it's just 2 cards, because Determination, a Rage, and a Stamina is really good if you want to take the tower. So do you really swap out 2 cards? I could have taken Planning, that would have been an option. But then again, having an additional mana to at least power Rage, that's 6 attack that you are guaranteed. But you do need something for this. But you can't steal the blue die, of course. But chances are you are drawing the concentration, which can produce blue. So with Planning you would have 1 more card, but 1 less mana. The Great Start I'm not a fan of, as I usually say, because you would have to power through to the tower, and otherwise it's useless. Because if I draw 2 cards, play 2 cards, I'm not drawing anything. And at that point, the Great Start doesn't do anything for you, so it only works if you can actually use the additional cards. Yeah, so overall I might even have gone with the mana steal. Yeah. which then means I think this rerolled to green, as we said. So this would have been played, and I think the additional cards were the Tranquility and the mana draw, because I said the mana draw is dead, and it would still be dead, of course, and there's no movement. So what's your contingency plan? Again, you should think about that up front. And just to point it out, with the planning, we would have drawn one more card. That might be the Savage Harvesting. So in this sense, that would probably be have been the better plan. I'm not 100% sure on the order of the cards, but even if it's improvisation, you would have the movement 3 you need. So planning would probably be the better option here, to be honest. So with a situation like this, I might end up doing the same play I did before. Yeah, so using the green just to cycle it out, because we do not have green and it's dead. And, well, we can't use the red, unfortunately, because it's really, we are not in a battle. But this allows you to draw 2 cards, and I think one was at least Savage Harvesting. I'm not sure if the improvisation was next or if it was actually a swiftness. I have to look that up. And at that point, it rerolled blue. So in the next turn, you can attack. I think it doesn't matter too much what cards we actually have. If it's improvisation, we can play this for 3 movement. We can block the Savage Monks just with the blue mana. And we can kill them because we do have these 6 attacks we were banking for. So this would not even use this. You could even make a Savage Harvesting play somehow. Not with a powered version, but playing 1 card sideways, discarding another to get another crystal. But the whole point is that this is manageable. We can defeat this. It's easier than the Ironclads. Now we have a Mage Tower. We are reputation -1, of course. Well, it's not an influence penalty yet, but you do get a spell. We could even make a play where we take the wounds. And, well, the poisonous is of course quite nasty, but it will be in the discard pile, and the cure can then replace the wounds. But we are not sure we actually get green mana. At that point, we are not sure about anything because we have to reroll these, and we are not sure what we get. But we, like with the knowledge that we have now, we got actually gold and green. That would be kind of perfect to power everything we want, basically. So mana. So once you have white or gold, you have pretty much everything if you have mana draw. But with the lucky reroll of the blue die, you can play Determination, just block it. That's perfect, so you don't get any wounds. And killing this is not a problem. Even without the mana steal, actually having the 2 rages and the 1 card sideways already cuts it. So I don't think actually mana stealing the red die was a good decision as well. For this play maybe, to have the 6 attack for the Ironclads. But planning is just really nice because it gives you more options. You see more cards because you can easily get deadlocked with a hand of 5 if you don't have any options. And if you go here, what are the options? Do you just circle around the tower and wade through the swamp here to the glades and then start exploring without even leveling? And what's your contingency here? As I said, you can't even circumvent them, you have to kill them. And once I played the blue mana, I can't play Determination, and how do you even block them? So to summarize, there weren't really that many options. They're really just 2 routes, and greed got the better of me to go here. Then the misplay with not realizing that I won't have the blue mana right away unless I get a lucky reroll, and I reroll green. The cards I draw were a dead card and a Tranquility. That's also unlucky, but it can happen. Then playing the Tranquility, getting 2 cards, that's nice, but then you spend another turn. Then you kill them really expensively. You lose most of your attack. Then you end up with a hand that can most likely kill 1 enemy at range, but there's nothing else. There's just an improvisation at 3 points. So you try playing 2 or 3 cards. I played 3. I think there might have been a chance that moving to the glade with the Savage Harvesting and not tossing the improvisation would have been a better play because we did draw movement. So with the gold mana, we can then move here and would still have the improvisation. And the gold mana can power that. And I could have used the green to move back. But we did not do that. We ended up cycling just to get 2 crystals and a mana token with the skill we got. So the skill choice was also not that good, but again, it was a lot of mana. But the replacement cards with 2 movement cards and a promise where nothing helps us in combat, that really screwed me. At that point, to salvage the game, you probably should just move on. At some points, you just have to let go. But I didn't do that. I entered, killed the fire mages, but the gargoyle was really a puzzle I could not solve. You have to have the plan with runes like that you can only kill 1 token, so that takes 2 goes, but usually that's possible. But if the gargoyles with the 8 attack and having the ironclads before, that's 2 tokens with physical resistance. That's really unlucky, but 1 was open knowledge. So yeah, to summarize, definitely I would have gone with planning. And definitely I should go to the Mage Tower, because the follow-up plan is clear. I could hire the Guardian Golems. I would be at 0 still. The Ruthless Coercion I just got rid of in the beginning, but I do have a promise. That's at least 4. If I don't need the improvisation to kill them, and I think with the plan as laid out, I did not need to. I could even play this for a total of 7 and then higher. And then at that point I would have had a spell, 2 levels, a nice unit. So I'm really set up for a nice round 2. Alright, so I think that wraps it up. I think I will give this exact same scenario of Krang another chance. So I randomly rolled him and Brevler, and since I already played a Brevler game and did not play Krang yet, I really want to play them, looking forward to that. And I might come up with another solution to make it really short, so to cut out the thinking parts. But I do think I want to record them because, as I said in the beginning, they really up my game, because I then have to defend what I'm doing, and I will find such errors because I'm telling my plan to you and I'm automatically thinking about why is it bad. And I think that's exactly what you need to do. You can do that without talking out loud, of course, but I didn't do that today. Maybe I was also too focused on the narration part and not like skipping anything, because I really did a lot of the bookkeeping without talking. My mind was thinking about, do I overlook something? Can people actually find errors if I don't show them the bookkeeping? So yeah, I think I will concentrate more on the old format with the bookkeeping, but with the thinking part being optional. Maybe there's a way to easily cut out the thinking part and maybe then do a short version and a long one. I already tried that by retroactively cutting out the thinking parts, but it's a lot of work. But I might have another idea on how to make that much more manageable. That would mean I could do like the just decision part, and I think that will be maybe a third, maybe a fourth of the total length of the videos, which will really make them short, interesting to watch, to just see how I flow through the map basically without much hold up. But for those that are actually interested in the thought process and the strategy, there will be kind of a behind the scenes video then. So I think this is what I'm going to try next. And I hope you enjoyed the intro, so to speak, to the video, the 1 minute and 30. And then this post-mortem discussion of what went wrong. Why did I actually attempt to do this? Why is it so dangerous? What would have been a better option? I think with the offer as it is, with only the village and the mage tower to hire, and the mage tower being actually something that you can usually take, getting the guardian golems, that's a play, that's a plan. Here, there's actually not clear what even is the contingency after that, because I'm walking into swampland. That's all swamp here. So do I want to go through these tokens and the hills, or do I want to cycle it around the map? I do have to hire, so I probably have to go here. That's 7 movement just to go there. Yeah, I don't think this was thought through. It was greed. Please don't repeat my mistakes. Maybe you can learn from it as well. I hope you enjoyed that, and see you in the next real game.